On April 1st, 2026, 4 humans left Earth and pointed themselves at the moon. For the first time in 54 years. But here's what nobody talks about. Humans have been trying to reach the stars for over 50,000 years. And the story of how we got from a cave in Africa to the surface of the moon is the most extraordinary story ever told. 50,000 years ago, our ancestors sat around fires and stared at the same sky we see tonight. They had no telescopes, no mathematics, no written language. But they mapped the stars with terrifying precision. Cave paintings in France and Spain show star clusters, including the Pleiades, accurate to within 1 degree. Ancient humans weren't just watching the sky, they were obsessed with it. 5,000 years ago, the builders of Stonehenge moved 80 stones across 200 miles, not to build a temple, to build a computer, a machine for tracking the sun and moon with precision that modern astronomers still find remarkable. Every stone was placed to mark a cosmic event: summer solstice, winter solstice, lunar cycles. Stonehenge was humanity's first attempt to understand and control time itself by reading the sky. 3,000 years ago in Egypt, the pharaohs built their tombs aligned with stars, specifically Orion, which they believed was the home of the god Osiris. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 0.05 degrees, more precise than Greenwich Observatory, built 4,500 years later. The Egyptians didn't just worship stars. They believed the stars were where humans came from and where they returned after death. In 240 BC, a Greek mathematician named Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of the Earth using 2 sticks and a shadow, and got within 2% of the correct answer. Around the same time, Aristarchus proposed that the Earth orbits the Sun, not the other way around. He was right, and he was ignored for 1,800 years. The Greeks didn't just look at the sky, they started to measure it, and in doing so, they invented science. In 1901, divers off the Greek island of Antikythera recovered a corroded lump of bronze from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. Inside, 37 interlocking bronze gears, a mechanical computer capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses, planetary positions, and the timing of the Olympic Games. It was so advanced that nothing comparable would be built for another 1,400 years. We had technology we then completely forgot. An entire chapter of human genius lost. While Europe forgot Greek science, the Islamic Golden Age kept it alive and dramatically improved it. Between 800 and 1400 AD, Arab astronomers catalogued over 1,000 stars, calculated the tilt of Earth's axis, and built observatories that made European cathedrals look primitive. The words algebra, algorithm, zenith, nadir, all Arabic. The star names Aldebaran, Betelgeuse, Rigel, all Arabic. Modern astronomy speaks Arabic because Arabic astronomers never stopped looking up. In 1609, Galileo pointed a telescope at the sky and changed everything. Jupiter had moons, Venus had phases, the sun had spots. The universe was not perfect, eternal, and earth-centered. It was messy, dynamic, and vast. The Church called it heresy. Galileo called it observation. He spent the last years of his life under house arrest for being right. Progress, historically, is rarely welcomed by the people who benefit from the old story. On April 12, 1961, a 27-year-old Soviet pilot named Yuri Gagarin sat inside a metal sphere barely big enough to stand in, on top of a rocket that had a 40% failure rate and was launched into space. He orbited Earth once in 108 minutes. When he landed, He was the most famous human being alive. From cave paintings to orbit in 50,000 years. It sounds like a long time. In cosmic terms, it was the blink of an eye. 8 years after Gagarin, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon. 600 million people watched live, the largest simultaneous audience in human history at that point. The Apollo guidance computer that got them there had less processing power than a modern digital watch. The mission was so dangerous that NASA had a prepared speech ready for President Nixon to deliver in case the astronauts were stranded on the moon. They landed anyway, because that's what humans do. And then we stopped. After Apollo 17 in December 1972, no human being went back to the moon for 54 years. The greatest leap in human history was followed by 5 decades of near silence, budget cuts, political will, the end of the Cold War. We built the space shuttle, then the International Space Station. Remarkable achievements, but all in low Earth orbit. We were circling Earth like a bird afraid to leave the nest. Until April 1st, 2026. At 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time on April 1st, 2026, the most powerful rocket currently operating on Earth ignited its engines at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The Space Launch System, 8.8 million pounds of thrust, carried 4 humans into space. Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, the first black astronaut to travel beyond Earth orbit, mission specialist Christina Koch, the first woman to go to deep space, and Canadian Jeremy Hansen, the first non-American to fly to the moon. Right now, as you watch this, those 4 humans are traveling toward the moon at 25,000 miles per hour. They will travel 252,000 miles from Earth, farther than any human has ever been from our planet. They will swing behind the moon, losing all radio contact with Earth for 30 minutes, completely alone in the darkness of deep space. And then they will come home, splashdown in the Pacific Ocean on April 10th. But Artemis 2 is just the beginning. In 2028, NASA plans to land astronauts on the lunar South Pole for the first time in history. A woman will walk on the moon. A person of color will walk on the moon. And they will not plant a flag and leave. They will begin building a base, a permanent human outpost on another world. The plan is to use the moon as a launch pad for Mars, and Mars as a launch pad for the outer solar system. We are finally leaving the nest, and America is not alone in this race. China has announced plans to land taikonauts on the moon by 2030. SpaceX's Starship, the largest rocket ever built, is preparing for its own lunar missions. Blue Origin, ISA, India's ISRO, every major space agency on Earth is pointing at the Moon and Mars simultaneously. For the first time since the 1960s, multiple civilizations are competing to become a spacefaring species. The stakes have never been higher. But why? Why spend hundreds of billions of dollars going to the Moon when there are problems to solve on Earth? The astronauts who have seen Earth from space give the same answer consistently. From up there, you cannot see borders, you cannot see countries, you cannot see the things that divide us. You see one thing, a small, fragile, impossibly beautiful blue sphere, alone in infinite darkness. Every astronaut who has seen it says it changes them permanently. Maybe that's reason enough. And for those who need practical reasons, the space program gave us GPS, memory foam, scratch-resistant lenses, water purification technology, CAT scans, cordless tools, and the cameras in your smartphone. Every dollar invested in NASA returns approximately $7 to the economy in spin-off technologies. Space exploration is not a luxury. It's the most profitable research and development program in human history, and we've barely started. Think about this. The humans who painted stars on cave walls 50,000 years ago. Their brains were identical to ours. Same intelligence, same curiosity, same desire to understand what those lights in the sky meant. They couldn't reach the stars, but they never stopped looking. Every astronomer, every physicist, every engineer who built Artemis II is the direct intellectual descendant of a prehistoric human who stared at the sky and wondered. We are the same species. We just got better tools. In your lifetime, statistically, if you're watching this under 40, a human being will walk on Mars. A human child will be born on the moon. The first permanent off-Earth settlement will be built. These are not science fiction. They are engineering projects currently in progress. The only question is not whether it will happen. The question is which of us will be alive to watch it, and whether we'll understand in that moment that the journey started 50,000 years ago around a fire. Right now, 4 humans are halfway to the moon. They left Earth yesterday. They'll be back in 9 days, and when they return, the world will be slightly different, because we will have been reminded of something we keep forgetting. We are explorers. We have always been explorers. From the first human who looked up at the night sky and wondered, to the 4 people hurtling toward the moon this week. If this story moves you, subscribe, because history is happening right now, and it's just getting started.